Last year I sat on retreat with a veteran that told me he hadn't cried in nearly 20 years. And in that first ceremony, he really fought the experience. You know, this is a tough guy, real man's man. And he was bummed. He was bummed the next day because he didn't get this big emotional release that he was looking for. But the second night, something opened up within him and he allowed himself to fully feel everything that he had been pushing down since he was a kid probably. And he broke down and he cried for over an hour. And the shaman came and supported him through this process. And when he was finished, I just remember him opening his eyes, looking around with the biggest smile I've ever seen on a grown man's face. And he gives us this thumbs up, and you could literally see this dark, heavy cloud had parted and this new light was literally shining from him. It was such an epic moment. What's up, guys? My name's Jay, and over the last 7 years, I've sat with ayahuasca over 40 times, in addition to leading 15 retreats, bringing over 100 guys from all over the world to the jungles of Costa Rica to have this experience with these medicines. And in this video today, I'm going to share with you the actual benefits of ayahuasca for men specifically. Not the hippie woo-woo stuff, the actual practical everyday benefits. And I'm going to share with you some real life transformations that we've seen, including marriages being saved, depression being alleviated, addictive patterns being broken, and so on. And so let's dive in. Over the last 10 years of coaching men full-time, something I found is that most men are struggling in isolation. They're struggling with something internally, and they're not sharing it with anyone, even the closest people in their lives. And I know this because I was once that way as well. You know, it might be anxiety, it might be depression, it might be just this feeling of emptiness. Tell me if any of these resonate for you. You know, maybe you're waking up at 4 a.m., middle of the night, with this heaviness on your chest, this knot, you know, this frog in your throat, this anxiety that you don't really know where it's coming from. Or you're the husband that is there, but you're not really there, if that makes sense. Or maybe the father who loves his kids so deeply, but you're not able to fully express that love to them, or you're not able to bring this softness that you want to the relationship. You're not able to play with them like you would like. Or maybe you are the guy that is incredibly successful on paper. You know, from the outside in, you've got it all. You've got the job, the business, you've got the money, you've got the great family, but something just still feels a bit off. Or this one's interesting. You don't consider yourself necessarily an angry person, but you have these angry outbursts at the wrong time towards the wrong people, and you immediately regret it, this level of reactivity, but you continue this pattern. You don't know why. All of these things, they have a common thread, and that common thread is feelings that never got processed. Okay, stick with me. I'm going to elaborate more on this as we go. But the good thing is that you're not broken if you deal with this, okay? I know this because I was once that way, right? You were never taught how to let go of the things that no longer serve you. You were never taught how to process your emotions, your feelings. And this comes from childhood, as most things do, right? The reason that we bottle these things up, it's not some sort of personal failure by you, by any means. This is cultural conditioning. There's a reason why so many men at large struggle with this same thing, right? If you look, your father likely struggles with it. Your great-grandfather and grandfather, great-grandfather, on and on and on up the family tree likely struggle with the same thing. It's because it's been conditioned into us, right? It's been conditioned into us to believe that men are meant to not express their feelings. No matter what's going on, we're meant to stay steady and stoic and not show any sign of feeling, because that feeling is weakness. You were likely told something as a kid like, stop crying, or be a man, or rub some dirt in it, right? That's a real common one. Or just generally, don't be weak. You know, and this model of masculinity, again, is based around this continuous stoicism and hardness, and this ability to never, ever break. And this then gets reinforced as we grow up through sports, especially. And the idea at the core of this, again, is that feeling is some sort of weakness. But in my experience, as I've grown up now in my 30s, a father myself, I've learned that learning to feel and express our feelings and our true authentic emotions is actually the most courageous thing that you can do. That is the do hard thing. One of the ultimate do hard things. And this model of masculinity, this failure to express ourselves and to feel our feelings fully, it comes with real implications. Okay, so there's this doctor named Dr. Gabor Mate, and he's a leading expert in this space. He's now in his 80s, and he's dedicated his life to this study of suppression, repression, compression of emotions and of feelings. And the thing is when we bottle up our feelings, they don't just disappear, right? They act kind of as a pressure cooker. You know, you could think about a compressed gas, CO2, propane. They pack it really tight. And so when we're kids, there's a lot of space there. So we can suppress, we can compress, push those feelings down. But as we get older, the pressure builds and builds and builds until eventually that steam's got to come out one way or another. And it oftentimes comes out sideways in some sort of weird way that we don't necessarily connect back to the thing that happened to us as a kid, or the thing that happened to us potentially last week, if we haven't still learned how to process these things healthily, in a healthy way. And so some of the ways that this can come out are, number one, anger, chronic anger. You may not even consider yourself this angry person, but this anger is coming out at these weird times through these little things. You're not mad at the thing that's happening, right? Someone lost the remote. You're not mad about the remote. It's all the compressed feelings of years and years and years coming out sideways. Addiction is another very common byproduct of this. Okay, alcohol, pornography, food. We see obesity at an all-time high. All these different addictions, phone use. These addictions are attempts to escape something. Okay, we're escaping the feelings within us because we were never taught how to fully feel them. Here are some other really good examples, right? Relationships, right? You find yourself in continual failed relationships, not because there's anything wrong inherently with the relationship, but because of this lack of ability to express yourself in a healthy way. Disease in the body, okay? Dis-ease. So this is a really common one. Tension, so you probably experience maybe some tension in your jaw, some tightness in your jaw, some shoulders hiked up most of the time, just this body that's compressed and tight. That is a byproduct of these suppressed feelings. They then eventually, believe it or not, can lead to disease. And so that's one of the things that Dr. Gabor Mate has studied very intentionally is autoimmune disease. A lot of autoimmune disease, there's very strong evidence, is linked back to the suppression of feelings over a lifetime. Okay? And so the longer that we bottle these things up, the more that we have to pay for it, right? The higher the cost comes in all of the forms that we just mentioned. And most men that I work with come to a retreat because they've been compressing for so long, and they're starting to see symptoms in their everyday life. And so now I want to connect all this back to ayahuasca, which obviously is the topic of this video. Okay, so talk therapy, highly recommend. Incredible tool. But talk therapy often hits a point of diminishing returns. If you've been in therapy for many years, maybe a lifetime, you've experienced this most likely, right? Talk therapy hits this certain point where you're no longer benefiting from it, right? You understand logically, consciously, all the things you're struggling with, but you kind of hit this wall where you're not able to break past those things, although you understand them and you can talk about them until you're blue in the face. This is because they're stored in the body, okay? And so what ayahuasca does is it helps us bypass our defense mechanisms, our ego, to then go into the body and to feel these things that we've been avoiding feeling deeply. If you've ever had any type of plant medicine, psychedelic experience, you know that you feel very intensely. And so the benefit of that deep feeling is you're going into the body and having this somatic experience. And we say that feeling is healing. The only way to truly heal is to feel. The only way for something to go out is for it to come up. And so ayahuasca, among the many benefits of this medicine, is that it creates an opportunity for you to go in and to process these emotions that have been pushed down for so long. And through that, you're able to let go of the things that no longer serve you, right? You're able to feel this level of lightness because you're literally taking this heavy backpack off of you through this experience. And it oftentimes comes up in many different ways. You've heard of ayahuasca leading to people purging through puking, right? So sometimes these energies move through a physical puke. Sometimes they move through just shaking. Sometimes they move through laughter, through crying, through yawning. These are different ways that we're able to move this energy through our bodies. And ayahuasca is one of the most incredible, powerful technologies and tools to help us do this. There's somatic work, somatic therapy that doesn't use any plant medicine that you can do this with. There's breath work that you can do this with as well. Ayahuasca, in my experience, is simply an accelerator for this process of healing and for growth. And for me, I've used a lot of different tools. It's one of the most powerful and helpful tools for quickly doing this work. Oftentimes people say, it's years of therapy packed into one night, okay? And so that is how ayahuasca helps us and works on these repressed emotions. And so also importantly, what I wanna share is what it doesn't do. And I'll share a whole nother video on this in the future. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't fix you, right? The work is still yours. It's a works, not a service. That's why we call it a works. The ceremony is a works. And also important to note, there's nothing to fix because you're not broken. You're simply releasing what is no longer yours, right? She helps you release what isn't yours. She doesn't fix you per se. She doesn't give you anything either, right? You already have everything. You were born completely whole and perfect. So there's nothing to give you. It's just stripping away what's not you and showing you what was always there and showing you what is truth with a capital T. So I want to share with you a real life transformation that I've seen through this work. So to circle back to the veteran that I had mentioned at the onset of the video, I met this guy over a year ago, and when we first met, he expressed that he had a lot of pent up energy within him, a lot of pent up energy of anger and of rage and a lot of violent thoughts, right? And he expressed that he was kind of shut off emotionally from his family. He had a really hard time expressing his love and his connection and all these good things to his wife and to his kids, and just had a hard time connecting with them in general. And he wanted to change, right? And where all this came from for him, he shared, was through childhood experiences with his father, right? And not to the fault of his father or any of our fathers. They were just doing the best they could, and other experiences that we collect as kids, and then into the military for this guy specifically, and he saw some really heavy stuff, and saw some friends lost in battle, and all the things that veterans experience. And these veterans are taught to be killers, but they're not taught how to integrate back into everyday life as civilians. And so heading to the retreat, there was a lot there. And he was really hopeful that this medicine could help him. And as I shared the first ceremony, it didn't go the way that he had hoped. He really fought the experience, which is common the first time. I did the same. I really fought it because we spent a whole lifetime not feeling and running from these things. So then, medicine presents us this opportunity to feel deeply. And it's like, well, no, that's not safe. So that first ceremony, he fought. And going into the second night, we shared some helpful tips with him to really soften, to go into the heart, to just allow the medicine to come in and just be with the feelings fully. And something broke through for him that second night, and he opened up some really, really deep stuff within him that had been there and was ready to be healed. And through that process of crying, as I shared earlier, that was his way of purging out this energy, right? Through the tears, through moving that energy through this crying. It was a beautiful thing, like the tears, the pukes, whatever it is in the ceremony. It's great, hallelujah for, because that's the energy moving. And so once he was able to move a lot of that energy through that hour plus of crying, that's why then we saw this lightness to him. Literally his aura shifted, and he had this huge smile and this thumbs up. And so when we talked the next morning, he shared that it was really challenging, right? In the moment, it was really uncomfortable and it was really scary, but based on what we talked about, he felt confident and safe in going into it and allowed himself to drop his guard down and just fully feel and be in the heart. And he shared that next morning that he felt like he had just lost 100 pounds. Like this backpack was just taken off his back, and he was just so hopeful and optimistic for the future. And so we finished the rest of the week, and he goes home and integrates through the post-retreat process. And a few months later, I heard through a mutual friend that his wife was urging him to actually go back and have this experience again in the future because of the transformation that she had seen in him as a husband, as a father, this new lightness to him, this new playfulness within him, this new ability to really express himself and have these hard conversations, express his true authentic self. And so she was skeptical at first, as most wives are, but then afterwards she literally was like, you need to go do this at least every couple of years, right? To have this experience, which is a really common outcome. And I keep in contact with this guy regularly. He's now in the best shape of his life a year plus later. He's absolutely thriving. And it was because of the work that he did with the help of the medicine. It wasn't the medicine itself. It wasn't even the retreat that we created. All of that stuff helped create an opportunity for him to do this work. And so if you're watching this video and you're feeling this call to ayahuasca, you've been carrying something with you for however long, this heaviness, you're maybe, you're waking up in the middle of the night, as we talked about, or you're carrying this anxiety, this depression, you're absent with your wife, your relationship's struggling, you want to be able to connect deeper with your kids. Know that this isn't for everyone. This medicine isn't for everyone, and not everyone's prepared right now, and that's okay. And it may never be for some people, but for those that it is for, it can be that door that opens to a brand new reality for you. But know that it's work. This is true work. It can be incredibly challenging. And some of the biggest do hard things that I've ever experienced, I've done Ironmans, I've done a lot of really hard things. But on the other side is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful transformation. So if you're feeling this call, I encourage you to sit with that. If you're feeling an inkling to ayahuasca in general, there's a reason. We say that ayahuasca calls you when it's your time. You'll never feel fully ready. You'll never feel fully prepared. But trust in that and explore that. And that feeling, don't avoid it, don't numb it, don't run away from it. That's the pattern, right? Meditate on it, sit with it, journal on it. And if you're going to consider going on a retreat, be really mindful of where you go. Not all ayahuasca is created equal. I'm going to share on this on a separate video as well. There's a lot of really unqualified people out there that can create some pretty negative experiences for you. And so if you do move forward with an experience like this, do your due diligence. Don't just go anywhere. And I have a free asset here I'm going to share with you in the description. It's a prep guide. I shot a separate video on this, on how to properly prepare for ayahuasca. So download that, dive into that. Not all ayahuasca ceremonies or retreats provide a really solid prep process. And if you're looking for a men-specific retreat, as I shared, I host the Immerse Retreat in Costa Rica. I bring 11 men per group, hand-selected, really great quality men from all over the world. We do this a couple times per year. We do an intentional 8-week prep process. We make sure that you're mentally, physically, spiritually prepared for this experience. You're medically cleared for this experience. We have a 7-day all-inclusive retreat in the jungle. Everything's taken care of. It's really intentional across the board. And then post-experience, we have an 8-week post-retreat integration process to ensure that you get the most out of this and you can integrate this big experience into your life. And so if that feels like something that might be a good fit for you, you can learn more in the bio here in the description, and you can apply on my website. And so, men, we're not supposed to do this alone. We're tribal beings. And so there's a reason my retreats have a big focus on brotherhood, on community. And we do this together. We do this hard work together. And so if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe. We'll be sharing a lot of ayahuasca content, but also just holistic health content in general. If you need any help with anything when it comes to this type of work, drop a comment. I'm more than happy to help. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day.